are in custody. I was more logically a target of the government than a New World Liberation Front, unless, of course, they happen to be the same. Was the right wing of the FBI warning me about the left wing of the FBI? A communique from the New World Liberation Front charged that, quote, the pigs led and organized the Zapata unit. Jacques Rouget, above courier for the underground New World Liberation Front, told me that the reason I was on the hit was because I had written that Patty Hearst kidnapper, Donald Cinque DeFries, was a police informer. And it was more than that. He also was not only was he a police informer, but he also did for the FBI.
COINTELPRO?
That's right, yes. That was, COINTELPRO was short for the counterintelligence program. And then there was a person named Colston Westbrook, and he was a CAI. He was in Vietnam in the assassination groups there, and he came back to the States, and he became the handler for Donald DeFries. So it was not what there's a book by Toobin now, or what's his first name? Jeffrey Toobin, who wrote a mean-spirited thing about Patty and never mentioned any of this. He was clueless about the real underbelly of the kidnapping of Patty Hearst. Here it was. So when the above ground courier told me that I was on the hit list because I had written about Patty Hearst kidnapper, was a police informer, but that's true, I said. It's a matter of record. Doesn't that make any difference? Not to him, it didn't. I mean, documentation was irrelevant. He said, if the New World Liberation Front asked me to kill you, he admitted, I would. Jacques, I replied, I think this puts a slight damper on our relationship. And so that's what my daughter Holly and I moved to a new apartment without giving him that. I want to have some questions and answers here. The last time I did that was when I spoke before at the Rotary Club. I was invited there and by a friend who asked me to do it, and I had a question and answer then too there. The first one who asked the question was the then city manager, and he said, so what do you think of our little town here at Desert Hot Springs? And I had an angel on my shoulder that said, don't say it. And the devil was on the other shoulder and said, if you don't say it, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life. And so I used to have retroactive, advanced retroactive. And so the devil won. And I said, well, the Desert Hot Springs is like a microcosm of the federal government. It's corrupt and incompetent. And there was silence for a moment. And then he realized, that he better laugh, because the audience was looking at him, seeing what he would do. And so when he laughed, then everybody laughed. It was, I'll answer any question. Yes.
Would you just tell us what your answer was when you were called the father of the Yippie movement?
The underground.
Oh, you mean People Magazine, you mean?
Yeah, called you the father of the...
Oh, they called me the father of the underground press.
Yeah, there you go.
I sent the telegram saying that I what did I say? I said...
Demanded.
Huh?
Paternity.
Oh, that's right. Thank you. Oh, yeah. I'm really a ventriloquist. Okay.
There you go.
Well, say it while I'm drinking water. So, yeah, I sent a telegram saying that I demanded what was it again?
Paternity test.
A paternity test. Couldn't resist it.
Talk
Yes.
about,
You're next. Yes.
Is it Paul, or would it be Rumple Foreskin?
Oh, well, that was, when I was in San Francisco, I got a job at the ABC FM radio station there, and I wanted to do, I didn't like to say my own name somehow, and I said I would like to do the show, and I would be called Rumple Foreskin. And they said, okay, they said that was fine. And I tried to get my name in the San Francisco phone book, and they said, well, no, we can say Foreskin Rumple. And I said, well, I couldn't argue with them. So, but it was fun. It was fun having, and I started doing a syndicated column for the underground press before it became the alternative press, and using that name. And so it was. I almost forgot that it was actually a Rumpelstiltskin. Yes. Who had it? Somebody had it.
Oh, I want any story from the bus.
Oh, the Kankakee Krassner's bus?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. What was, oh, well, here's one that I remember.
Anyone, doesn't matter.
That there was at the back of the bus there was a helium thing we'd get a big balloon and push it, and so we'd fill it with helium, and he would just give them out free, and one mother and her kid were there, and she gave him a quarter, and Kesey said, just to be sardonic, humorous, he said, I'm a famous author. And she said, oh, and she said, does that mean I'll give you $1 then? But he was really humble, you know. I'd be at a party with him, and we'd be in the kitchen, and somebody would come into the kitchen, and he would just, hi, I'm Ken. You know, he wasn't. He really had a humility, even though he was a charismatic figure, but it enabled him to not let his ego get in the way of his relating with people. I heard a female voice before, but...
well, I was just going to say, talk a little bit about the Chicago, I don't know, is it 8 or 7, or your experience?
Yeah, when, let's see, I guess it was in December of 1967, in December, I was with Abby Hoffman and his wife Anita, and we got caught in a hurricane, and we were going to go to see a movie that was Abby's favorite movie called The Professionals, and it was about, I'm trying to remember who was in it, but in any case, we didn't go there because the rain was getting harder and harder, and we went to see the Ten Commandments, I think it was, the Dino De Laurentiis book about that. And I remember on the way back, I was complaining about Abraham, who was going to cut his son's head off or whatever he was going to do, because that's what the deity told him to do. And I said, well, that was just blind obedience. And Abby said, no, it's revolutionary, revolutionary trust. And it was the kind of thing where we discussed religion. He was always interested in religion and how that there was war being on the base of religion often. And so we had a lot of discussions like that. It was really good company to be with. He was witty. He was very, and he would just, like, on the Lower East Side where we lived, a police car would go by, and there were 2 cops in the front and 2 cops in the back, and Abby would yell at them, "Are you guys going on a double date?" He would play billiards with them at the police station. So he was really. I was fortunate having a magazine and meeting all these people that Abby and Kesey and Tim Leary and Ram Dass and all of these people. I was very fortunate to meet these people. And I remember going to a party once where there were a bunch of gurus, and they were in the kitchen there complaining about their servants. And I said, this is, and it was like, I told them this was like being at Patty Hearst's house where the servants were complained about by her parents. But it was always a pleasure being with these countercultural icons, really, and so it was a lot of fun seeing how, like gurus, there was one guru who spoke at the Village Theater in New York, and I was invited to go in the green room, and there were his servants using wild root cream oil to get his long hair and beard down. So it was always interesting to see these behind the scenes. Any other questions? Yes?
When was the last time you fiddled with your fiddle?
Oh, when, I forget what year, but it was like 40 years after I had stopped using it, and I was, what was his name? There was a movie series called Billy, what was it? It was
Billy Jack.
Billy Jack, and what was the name of the guy, or actor who played it?
Tom Laughlin?
Tom Laughlin, yeah. And
Sorry.
so I met him, and he invited me to dinner, and he was a real, almost a zealot about Thomas Jefferson, and he had, furniture from Jefferson. He had china plates from Jefferson. He had, there were recipes he had. I think one was peanut soup that we ate, and he had Thomas Jefferson's violin, and he asked if I would play it, and I did 40 years, but I couldn't resist playing Thomas Jefferson's. So I took the violin in my hands, and I said, again, the devil won over the angel. I said, I'd like to dedicate this song to Thomas Jefferson's slaves. The only thing I felt competent to play was Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. I knew I wasn't going to do the Vivaldi Concerto in A minor. So I played that, and then as a private little joke, nobody really noticed, I scratched my left leg with my right foot, just as a reminiscence. So Yeah.
Yeah, you did a lot of protesting and things and all that, and how many, did you get arrested a bunch of times, and how did that work out? And
I got arrested once for stopping at a red light, actually. A bunch of us were walking on the sidewalk, and I forget the protest we were going to, but it was we were walking along the sidewalk, and then there was a red light, and I called out, hold it off, you know, to the people behind me, there's a red light. And a cop arrested me. He's saying that I was disturbing the public or something. But it was very cold. This was December, and he just wanted to get out of it. So, we were in, we were in prison overnight, and we had there was not Bill Schaff. Bill Schaff was the name of a lawyer, and he came and he was defending us, and the judge was saying he didn't, you know, he understood when the lawyer explained what had happened. And so he just decided to let us go. And I said, he said, but don't tempt fate the next time. And I said to the lawyer, I said, well, is the First Amendment is that fate? Is that, or it was the First Amendment? This was freedom of assembly, and the lawyer jabbed me with his elbow and said, "Come on, you know, this is my first case." So it was, and then I was just a brat, you know, because each of us would have a picture taken of us, of every individual with the cop that arrested them. And so I just said to the cop, as our picture was being taken, said, "Now are we going to go to the prom?" And I just couldn't resist it. So it was just, I followed those impulses, and it got me into a lot of trouble sometimes. Any more? Okay, well, I appreciate your being an audience and laughing, because that's my job. Thank you. So I just want to say there were 10 books on there. I don't know if there are more that were being sold in there. There are two more. I have this one, but I'm giving that to the library. And also, that I was, it was suggested that I give oh, that's for me. Just tell them I'm not here. I was going to, so of those 10 books, I'm going to take five of each, out of each, which will be $50 to donate to the library, because this is you know, it's one of the better things about this ghost town, having a library here. And if those two books are sold and you want some, you can get one from my website, which is paulkrassner.com. And if you do that, just say where it says anything that you want me to know. You could just say, please give a refund. There's $3 for the postage, and then I'll include a check for $3 because the books weren't here. So there's no reason why we should have to pay for the postage. I guess that's it. Any other question? Which is, oh, I should have asked that. Anybody? Yes.
Do I remember you were pretty good friends with Peter Bergman?
Peter Bergman, yeah, Peter Bergman was not the actor Peter Bergman, but this was, he was the first one in a group called the San Francisco Diggers, and the first time I heard the word ecology was from him. I looked it up, but I didn't, but he was ahead of himself. He died recently, but he had a book about, I'm trying to remember what the name of it was, but it was about the boundaries of different countries. You know, like as if there's acid rain that falls in Canada, does that mean it's not going to happen in the northern U.S.? And so he was brilliant. This was in New York, and he left to San Francisco with my girlfriend, but I just remembered ecology. Okay, thank you all again.